Welcome into Four Verts, where we talk about the NFL every single day. My name is Harrison Graham. The Beast, for draft people out there, has dropped. Dane Brugler, The Athletic. He does this project every year. It is the best draft guide out there, bar none, in my opinion. And what we're going to do today is we're going to kind of sprint through his top 50 prospects. And then I've got 5 big takeaways that I have that I thought stood out based on kind of his big board here. So let's go ahead and just kind of sprint through the top 50. He does have Travis Hunter over Abdul at the top. Ashton Jeanty's his 3rd overall prospect. Mason Graham, Jalon Walker at 5. I've got opinions on that. Will Campbell at 6. Armand Membou at 7. Tyler Warren, the Penn State tight end, at 8. Shemar Stewart at 9. That's another polarizing one. And then Mike Green, a player I really like, at 10. 11 through 20, Colston Loveland, the Michigan tight end. Tetairoa McMillan, receiver out of Arizona. There's his first quarterback, Cam Ward. And if you notice, there's the cutoff for true round 1 grades. Jihaad Campbell, Matthew Golden rounding out the top 15. He's got Derrick Harmon, the Oregon defensive tackle, at 16. Emmanwori at 17. Will Johnson at 18. Malachi Starks and Josh Simmons rounding out his top 20. Michael Williams, Donovan Ezraku, a couple of edge rushers at 21 and 22. Josh Connerly Jr., the tackle out of Oregon, at 23. Tyler Booker, the Bama guard, at 24. Kenneth Grant at 25. Kelvin Banks Jr., who you notice is listed as a guard. I have thoughts on that, at 26. Luther Bird, Emeka Egbuka, a couple of receivers, 27, 28. Amarian Hampton, 29. And then Jahdae Barron at 30. Walter Nolan down at 31. Gray Zabel at 32. Mason Taylor, the LSU tight end, at 33. There's Shedeur Sanders at 34, who he's got a 1st/2nd round grade on. Maxwell Hairston, the Kentucky corner, who ran a 4.3 at 35. James Pierce Jr., a polarizing prospect, down at 36. Ariante Ursery, the Minnesota tackle, at 37. Carson Schweizinger, who's been rising, the UCLA linebacker, at 38. Ole Miss corner Trey Amos at 39, and then at 40 is the Ohio State defensive tackle Tyleik Williams. And then rounding out the top 50 before we get into my takeaways, Miami tight end Elijah Arroyo at 41, Iowa State's Jalen Noel at 42, which he has ahead of Jaden Higgins, who's at 45. That's interesting. JT Tuimoloau at 43, Caleb Johnson 44, Travion Henderson 46, Landon Jackson, the Arkansas edge, at 47. Donovan Jackson, who he has as an offensive tackle. I'm not going to dive into that, but that's pretty interesting. He's played mostly guard at Ohio State. And then 2 QBs rounding out the top 50, Jackson Dart, and then almost 26-year-old Tyler Shuck. Who is your favorite player in this year's draft? Because it's an interesting one, right? It's not really a top-heavy draft. It's a depth draft in terms of, like, you can get a lot of quality starters and contributors deep into the 2nd, 3rd, even 4th round. But, there may not be a lot of gold jacket guys in this draft. But if you had one guy that's just your favorite player, let me know who it is. Okay, my top takeaways from The Beast, which everybody should go check out. It's that good. He's a Jalon Walker guy. I'll give my stance on Walker in a minute, but here's what Dane had to write about the Georgia kind of linebacker edge hybrid. He said, Walker doesn't have elite size for edge work, but he is at his best using his long, sleek athleticism to explode downhill, close at the top of the rush to affect the quarterback. There's projection involved with his evaluation, but his pass rush upside and overall versatility make him one of the best talents in this class. I just don't know what to do with Jalon Walker, and I think it does speak to just the question marks about this draft when Dane Brugler, who has Jalon Walker as his 5th best prospect, is saying, this evaluation requires a projection. That's your 5th guy in the draft? I got to have something more certain at number 5. Now, sure, in the right situation, could it be awesome? Yeah, his athletic profile is off the charts, but where's he playing down to down? Because I don't think he can be a consistent off-ball linebacker. I don't think he can drop into coverage, play sideline to sideline a lot. I agree, as a blitzer, both between the tackles and off the edge, he can be effective, but are you putting him in a 3-point stance? I don't know if he can play in a 4-3 at least consistently at all. So to me, he's a 3-4 edge. That's a tough sell for me personally to have him as the 5th best player in this draft. I think, I'll put it this way. I worry he's like a front 7 version of Isaiah Simmons where everyone loves him And it's like, oh, we'll just draft him. We'll figure it out later. Like Arizona did that with Simmons, and then they never figured out where to plan. So I think you have to have a plan for this guy. If you just draft him and you're like, we'll figure it out, I think that's a bad idea. So a guy like if Brian Flores got his hands on this guy, it would probably work. But if some team just willy-nilly took him, we'll figure out his position, I would not be a fan of that. Okay, Kelvin Banks is listed as a guard for Dane Brugler. A lot of chatter around him. Will Campbell, who we'll get to in a second. Are these guys tackles? Are they guards? Can they play both? Here's what Dane had to say about Kelvin Banks. He said, Banks doesn't have ideal length and needs to improve his sustained tactics to be a consistent finisher against NFL talent. He projects it as an immediate NFL starter who could stay at tackle, although his best long-term position might be guard. Certainly very interesting when it comes to Kelvin Banks Jr. And I think it's really interesting because I want to kind of bring in Will Campbell into the conversation when you talk about these two guys, because for months, that's been the debate. Is Will Campbell, Kelvin Banks, are they guards? Are they tackles? Is it going to vary from team to team? Well, he has Will Campbell listed as a tackle in his draft guide from the Beast, and he had this to write about Campbell. Then we'll kind of dive into the comparisons here. Brugler says Campbell's mediocre arm length, so he acknowledges the arm length issues there as well, lessens his margin for error, but his athletic movements, core strength, and competitiveness and competitive finish help him stay connected through the whistle, regardless of the block required. Let me first say, I like Will Campbell as a prospect better than Kelvin Banks, and I do think he can play tackle. But what am I missing here? Like, he points to both of their length issues, which I think is valid, but it's definitely more so valid for Campbell when you're just comparing arm length. Who has longer arm length? Kelvin Banks. Who has a longer wingspan? Kelvin Banks. Will Campbell's more athletic, so I think Dane's saying he's athletic enough to overcome those. But Kelvin Banks is a pretty damn good athlete as well if you watch him play. So I'm a little confused by that. Why label one a guard and one a tackle, and especially the longer guy? So that puzzles me. Now, in the write-ups, he mentions with both guys that you could try him at tackle, you could play him at guard. So he's not like pigeonholing either. But just from a position listing standpoint, I did find it interesting that Banks gets the guard label and that Campbell did not. I don't know. The labels of a draft guide obviously don't matter too much, but if it were me, I would try both these guys at tackle. Unless you're a team that just needs a starting guard and you love these guys at guard and you just draft them for that. But if all things are equal, they deserve a chance to play tackle because I think they're athletic enough to do it. And if not, then you could kick them inside. Okay, more takeaways from the Beast coming up. But first, do have to tell you guys about today's sponsor, that is Turtle Beach, the #1 brand in gaming headsets and accessories. Come from Turtle Beach. Remember the feeling of booting up your favorite game for the first time? I remember being a young kid opening my first Nintendo 64, not to age myself, and nothing better than that. The late night sessions, the epic wins, the sound of the lobby filling up with friends. Gaming wasn't something you just did. It was a whole experience, and the right headset made all of the difference. Turtle Beach is bringing that feeling back with the Gen 3 Stealth 700 headset. It's like stepping into the golden age of gaming all over again, only this time the audio is richer, the surround sound is more immersive, and the battery lasts an insane 80 hours. No more crackly mics, no more missed call-outs, just pure uninterrupted gaming exactly the way you remember it. The 3D spatial audio has taken my gaming to the next level, especially in fast-paced games like Fortnite and Call of Duty. The Stealth 700 headset also has the industry's first ever cross-play dual wireless transmitter system, meaning you can seamlessly switch between your console and PC with just the click of a button. Don't wait any longer. Go to turtlebeach.com/chat. Use code chat to get 10% off your first order with Turtle Beach. That's code chat for 10% off at turtlebeach.com/chat. Tell us we sent you at Chat Sports. It helps support us. And get yourself a Turtle Beach headset today. Okay, a few more here. He's on the Mike Green train. Mike Green, who is a player I really like, he has as his number 10 overall prospect. I think he's very similar as a prospect to Khalil Mack. I really do. The measurables are similar. The backgrounds are similar, coming from a small school and then going to dominate the Senior Bowl. You look at his numbers, and you might say, Harrison, Marshall, he's not playing anybody. Well, against Ohio State, he had a sack. Against Virginia Tech, he had 2 sacks and 8 pressures. At the Senior Bowl, he was the best player there. So when he got to go up against premier competition, he didn't just hold his own. He kind of dominated. So I'm not too concerned about his ability to transition to the next level. Here's what Dane Brugler had to say about the Marshall edge rusher. He said, quote, Green is a twitchy athlete with the burst and body control to win one-on-one as a pass rusher and set a violent edge in the run game. As long as his character checks out, more on that in a second, he is one of the top pass rush prospects in the draft class with the disruptive ability to be an NFL starter. As a player, he's my second favorite edge in this class. I think Abdul Carter is a clear one, but Mike Green, I would have number 2. I like him better than Michael Williams and Shemar Stewart. I like him better than Jalon Walker, if you want to label him as an edge like Dane does. I think he's that good. Now, the character stuff that Brugler is pointing to is he's been accused of sexual assault twice, and one in high school, one in college. So that's not great. Now, he addressed that at the combine. I guarantee you teams that are bringing him in for visits are really digging into that, doing a lot of background information. If that stuff clears for these teams and they feel comfortable with him off the field, I think he's a tremendous player. Obviously, he could slide because of this. There's no doubt about it. And if teams aren't sure, you shouldn't draft him. Like if I was running a team and I looked into this and I didn't get the answers I was looking for, I wouldn't draft him, especially not in the first round. But if I felt comfortable, man, I agree with Dane. Top 10 prospect. I think he's that good. I think he's got a chance to be Khalil Mack. And what I really like about him at 6'3", 250, he plays as a run defender as if he's 275. So like being a little undersized does not hurt him at all as a run defender, but it definitely helps him as a pass rusher because he has the speed and power combination that you're looking for. All right. Subscribe to the channel. Draft almost here. Breaking news drops. We react. NFL draft content. I've got my 3-round mock draft coming later this week, so be on the lookout for that. So hit the subscribe button. Turn on notifications. We got you guys covered here on Verts. Okay. And I think this is kind of consistent with what we've heard throughout this draft cycle is there's just not a lot of blue chippers. I mean, he only has 13 first-round grades. He has a lot of round 1/round 2 grades, but he only has 13 guys. He's got his top 10 here, which we went through, and then Cam Ward's the cutoff. It's the only quarterback he has a true round 1 grade for. We mentioned Shedeur Sanders earlier. He has a round 1/round 2 grade. I think he's got him like in the 30s, 34 here, as you see on your screen right now. But if you're having only 13 round 1 grades, how many true blue chippers do you have? Because just because you have a round 1 grade doesn't mean that's a blue chipper. I would say you probably cut that in half at minimum. To me, there's like 4 to 7 guys that I would say that's a blue chip prospect in this draft. Now, every year there's always guys that you didn't see it with, like Puka Nacua, blue chip player. He went in the 5th round. So there's always exceptions, but guys that you feel confident in, like Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Ashton Jeanty, I feel very confident that these 3 guys, pretty much regardless of where they go, are going to be very, very good players. Like their floor is like a good starter. Their ceiling is they could go to the Hall of Fame. And then I got 5 more that I'm like, I think they could be blue chippers. Like Mason Graham, he's not a perfect prospect, but I think he's got a chance to be really, really good. Same with Tyler Warren. I think fit does matter there. If he goes to like a defensive style team, I don't love that. But if he goes to an offensive-minded team with a creative coach, he could be incredible. Will Campbell, Armand Membou, I think could be. There are with Campbell, there's the measurement concerns. With Membou, if a team tries him at left tackle, could it not work out? That could certainly be the case. Mike Green, I'm more concerned about the off-the-field stuff, but I think he's got a chance to be special on the field. And that's probably the cutoff for me in terms of guys I'm really confident in as players in this draft. There are a lot of good players beyond that, but the true blue chippers, which are like, hey, they're going to be studs for 10 plus years, there's not that many in this draft. And I think Brugler's draft guide kind of outlines that. A lot of depth in the draft, but not a lot of like, oh, this guy, he's going to be an all-pro, maybe multiple times. So there you go. Give me your hottest take for this draft. Like, Cam Ward's the best QB. Not a hot take. Give me your hottest take out there, because I think Brugler's is Shemar Stewart being his number 9 overall prospect. Listen, let me just get this disclaimer out there. I won't even pretend to act like I know more football and certainly more draft than Dane Brugler. The amount of hours and days and weeks and months, it never stops for this guy. Like, I'm not going to pretend to know more, but I watch a decent amount, and it's my job to give my take. I just don't see that. Here's what Brugler wrote when it comes to Shemar Stewart. Stewart needs to mature his rush efficiency and finishing skills, but he has a rare combination of talent and motor to be a game wrecker against both the pass and the run. His best football is ahead of him. That last sentence, I feel like we always hear that in sports. His best is ahead of him. It's like one of those cliche lines. And sometimes that's true, right? But other times it's like, oh, it's like that word that we always throw out there, potential. To me, potential is just potential until it turns into something. Like, I just can't get there. Like, at that athletic profile, to only have 1.5 sacks 3 years in a row, like, I just need more. Like, he doesn't finish well, which Brugler outlines. He doesn't have any pass rush moves outside of being a bull rusher. So, like, is he going to bull rush offensive tackles consistently in the NFL? I doubt it. I just can't. Like, to me, that's a guy you take a chance on in the 20s. Athletic freak. At worst, he could be like a low-end starter. I'll take him at 25. 9? I don't know, man. I think that's super, super rich. Like, we talked about Jalon Walker at 5. Like, he's at least been productive, right? Like, he has a little more versatility. Shemar Stewart, I think there's a chance he's like a rotation piece in a couple of years. So that's my biggest disagreement with Brugler. And, that's kind of the beauty of this draft. I think some teams will have Stewart that high. I think some teams won't have a round 1 grade on him. So it'll be fascinating to see how it all plays out. All right, my name is Harrison Graham. Thanks for tuning in. Go check out the Beast. Dane does a great job with that. Be sure to check us out on future videos as well. YouTube.com/@4Verts. We got my 3-round mock draft coming. More videos as well. So be sure to subscribe. We'll see you soon.